Have you ever met Greta Thunberg?
No, but me and her have had some internet arguments.
I think you went to prison for it, right?
Yeah, correct, which is amazing because I'm a climate change activist. So I'm on her team. I was in Sweden during COVID, so we could have met. She didn't want to hang out with me, unfortunately. Now I'm flying around on my jet everywhere, spreading news about climate change. Same thing, like in my Bugatti, obviously it's got a big engine. I make sure to talk about climate change out the window as I drive.
How dare you?
Saint Greta was just arrested. She was arrested by law enforcement in Germany.
That Greta Thunberg girl, the climate girl.
She shot into popularity at just 15 years old, speaking at a TED event in her home country. Her speech was commended by many people. Just a year later, Greta was giving a speech at the UN Climate Action Summit.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean.
From the Australian philosopher Peterson, terming it as the most powerful 4-minute speech he had ever had, to various musicians incorporating her speech in their performances, Greta was the person of the year.
By that Greta Thunberg girl, the climate girl who yelled at everybody, she's person of the year on Time magazine.
However, critics started questioning as to whether she knew what she was talking about.
All I'm saying is, what is she, 14, 15? 16. No.
I mean, a 15-year-old schooling adults on climate crisis and solutions. Most people saw it as an act, and it was a matter of time before the cracks started showing.
No planet blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah.
I'm not an angry teenager.
In 2019, Greta posted a picture of her seated on the floor of a train, captioning it, "Traveling on overcrowded trains through Germany. I'm finally on my way home." Of course, Greta got the reaction she was after, but the management clapped back.
Dear Greta, thank you for supporting us railroaders in the fight against climate change. We were happy that you traveled with us on Saturday in the ICE 74, which is a train that runs on 100% eco-friendly electricity. But it would have been even nicer had you reported how friendly and competently you were looked after by our team at your seat in the first class.
And there's a reason why Greta is taking train instead of flying. An information that is going to be relevant in this next sequence of events.
Greta Thunberg, climate change activist, travels the world on trains and by boat to limit her environmental footprint. She boycotts air travel because of how bad it is for the environment.
The same 2019, UN moved the climate change conference from Chile to Spain at a short notice. Greta and Nikki Henderson had to rely on a lift from an Australian couple.
Okay, so if you're wondering how the heck all this came about, to cut a very long story short, basically we saw Greta's tweet about hoping to find a lift across the Atlantic, and Riley responded, but she gets a million responses, so she didn't see it, but a friend of a friend did. After a chat on the phone with her, she loved our story, and Greta and her dad were so grateful and excited about the opportunity to sail with us.
But here's where the hypocrisy starts showing. For Nikki to get to Greta, she traveled from UK on a plane.
After dinner, we went to collect Nikki, one of the better offshore sailors in the world. Welcome aboard, Nikki.
Thank you.
Of course, it's a stretch to call Greta a hypocrite because her associate has used her flight. But if you have a flight-free movement which aims to flight shame,
I'm not telling anyone what to do or what not to do.
You definitely should not complain when people criticize you a bit harshly.
Nearly all of them take private jets. Do you think at least the fact these delegates take private jets is a bad thing against, what you believe in? All of this.
Reposting a USA Today article, Greta wrote, "The problem of plastic pollution in the ocean is even worse than anyone feared." And her message seems to be heard loud and clear, because if you can believe it, some workplaces are using Greta Thunberg's picture to discourage the use of plastics. And while Greta is preaching water, turns out she is drinking wine. This is a picture of Greta's breakfast. How many plastic cans and paper can you see? And yes, we do not expect Greta to give up plastic altogether, but at least she cares about trees.
The way we farm and treat nature, cutting down forests and destroying habitats, we are creating the perfect conditions for diseases to spill over.
You'd think in a modern world, a climate activist like Greta would have other mediums to publish their book, everything except paper. Dr. Jordan Peterson wrote, "What is the carbon footprint of the book?" And he was not the only critic. Why did you not just keep it digital? And that was not the only time Greta was caught lagging. With the rise of Instagram and TikTok, fashion and specifically fast fashion is growing in an enormous amount. Talking to Vogue, Greta did not hold any punches while discussing the issue on fast fashion. Greta, for instance, has not bought any clothes for the past 3 years, and the ones that she bought were second-hand, if you can believe that. However, the satire in her statement, despite being vegan, is that she was wearing a wool in a cover photo. People for the ethical treatment of animals had to come to her defense, arguing that Greta had no idea she was wearing a wool, which leads us to question, does Greta even know anything?
Where did you learn everything you know about things like climate change? Where did you learn all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I knew.
So if you wish you knew, how do you know so much? Surely if you know so much, you would know where you learned all this from, surely?
Who has said that I know so much?
There are tons of videos of Greta completely going silent when confronted with hard-hitting questions.
Could you please tell us what kind of message, what you are doing here today, what kind of message would you send by doing this to world leaders? And also can I ask you, do you think it's about time that President Trump would respond to what you have said today?
I think... I'm sorry, what was the first question?
What's the message you would like to send to our leaders by doing what you are doing?
I think what we want to send is... The message we want to send is to say that we have had enough. And anyone else wants to ask that question? I can't speak on behalf of everyone.
Anyone wants to answer about the message to world leaders?
What about President Trump? He's here today. Do you think he should respond in any way?
I think maybe you should give some questions to the others as well.
To her defense though, she was only 16 years old and she has not yet joined any tertiary learning, right?
And Greta Thunberg is a doctor. Greta Thunberg is going to receive an honorary doctorate from a Finnish university.
On May of this year, the University of Helsinki awarded Greta with an honorary doctorate for her contribution for the climate change. In which field? Take a guess. Environmental science, ecology, aquatic biology.
The University of Helsinki's Faculty of Theology, not its science faculty, its theology one, is giving an honorary doctorate to global warming guru Greta Thunberg.
But in theology, for heaven's sake, I mean...
And that is not the biggest recognition that Greta has ever received. She has been nominated for Nobel Prize for 4 consecutive years. And who knows, maybe this is the year she actually breaks the curse. And you might be thinking, why is she even getting nominated for Nobel Prize? Well, that's because she has passion.
Famous climate activist Greta Thunberg has joined a protest to stop the expansion of a coal mine in Germany. Reports say she and other protesters who sat at the entrance of the coal mine were detained by police.
Earlier this year, Greta and some group of activists took to protest at a coal mine in Germany. Greta would, however, be detained by the German police because, of course... Wait, why are they laughing? Hours after the arrest, footage emerged showing Greta laughing with the German police.
The real explanation is that they're all on the same side. Greta and the police are pretending that they're on opposite sides and they're fighting.
Maybe they were just having fun. We will let Greta explain herself.
Greta, how many times did you rehearse your arrest at the German coal mine? How many times did you rehearse it? Because it looked staged. Is it true? How many times did you rehearse your arrest, Greta?
Right, she said nothing. But after taking all those L's, it's a matter of time before you start winning. On December of last year, Mr. Greta Tate himself,
unprovoked, out of nowhere,
thought it would be great to go after a 20-year-old girl.
That little Greta fucking bumbaclaw. You're exceptionally unattractive.
He said, "Hello at Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W16 8-liter quad turbo. My two Ferrari 812 Compositions have 6.5 V12s. I know nothing about cars, so I don't know what this means. But he says, this is just the start. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions. Let's see how Greta responded. She said, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com.
Of course, this rattled the feathers of Tate because with that comeback, we knew Tate would be cooking something.
Satisfaction's not in my nature. Surrender's not in mine.
Release some greenhouse gases. I'm not actually mad at Greta. Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled. Thank you. So I'm not actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the matrix. She thinks she's doing good. We were in Czech Republic at the time and we decided to go to Dubai, and I said, let's stop in Romania so I can repack a suitcase. So
That's it. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason. So jet left Prague, landed in Romania. My jet was still on the runway. Came here overnight to pack a suitcase, spent the night, spoke to Greta with a pizza box, and it's 5 a.m. they go.
Just last month, Greta met with the Ukrainian president to discuss the effects of war on ecology.
Well, Pete, I tell you, when I heard that, I had to laugh. I mean, you made my day.
It's not like he doesn't have 100 other things or 100 other people to prioritize.
On paper, she seems to be the perfect candidate for such discussion.
I thought 10 years ago, we live in the delusion of a disturbed 13-year-old girl. How did that happen? And then, Greta Thunberg showed up and I thought, oh, well, there we go. Now we've got the 13-year-old. I feel sorry for her, because she was chased into this apocalyptic terror that we're trying to enforce on all our kids. And then you think about her position, so now she's all afraid and her mother's facilitating that like mad. And then, she announces her fear, her neurotic fear, essentially. It's driven by negative emotion. And, Macron says to her, oh my God, Greta, you're absolutely right, and bows. It's like, what the hell is a girl to think?